My husband asked for extra alone time ever since the birth of our son. I felt like something was off, so I snuck into the baby monitor, and now, I saw my husband doing things with his fingers that I wish I could permanently erase from my memory. So, my husband, 34M, and I, 33F, had our first baby back in June of last year. My husband's aunt gifted our son a lovely chunky knitted blanket. The blanket is so soft, and I have made multiple comments about how I would like to find a full-size blanket just like it because it is so cozy, and I'm kind of jealous of my baby. Well, this past weekend, my husband snuck off to the store. He refused to tell me where he was going and why, but I later found a plastic bag with the logo of a local crafting store. That evening, he said that he would like to have an hour of alone time every night after our son goes to sleep. He stressed that he would not like to be disturbed, but if I needed him then I could call or text him. I agreed to this because we are both adjusting to having very little me time ever since the birth of our son. Last night, during his alone time, our son started crying. I checked the baby monitor and saw that he had simply lost his pacifier and was going back to sleep. However, the baby monitor also shows other parts of our son's room, not just his crib. In the corner of his room, I saw my husband sitting on the floor with a bunch of chunky yarn in front of him. I turned the volume up and heard that he was watching a YouTube video on how to finger knit. This sweet man is making me a blanket. He absolutely loves surprising me but is terrible at keeping secrets. I just know that he is going to slip up and accidentally mention something about the blanket at some point. I plan on acting clueless so that I will still be surprised when he gives it to me. I just love him so much, and I'm so delighted that he's learning a new skill so I can have a custom blanket. So, he just came home from work and mentioned his alone time again. To keep up the facade, I asked him what he would be doing during that time and he said just working on some stuff. Since he's so terrible at keeping surprises, he always tells me I have something planned but I can't tell you what it is, and then we do this back and forth where I ask about it and he refuses to tell me. So, for the sake of his surprise to me, I will keep occasionally asking him what he's up to during his alone time. Honestly, if he managed to knit himself a furry suit, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be wildly impressed that he had such talent. Update 1. I posted recently about how I checked the baby monitor while my son was sleeping and saw my husband sitting on the floor of my son's room finger knitting a blanket for me after I made a comment on how I wanted a chunky blanket. Why sweet husband broke. He kept on mentioning that he was working on a surprise for me. I would occasionally ask what this mysterious project was, and he would get a cheeky smile and say I can't tell you. That eventually evolved into him repeatedly telling me that keeping the surprise was really hard and he wanted to just tell me. I kept saying, no. You've kept it a surprise for this long, you can keep going. But one day, after dinner, he decided he couldn't keep it in anymore. He showed it to me. It was only about a quarter of the way done, but it was lovely. The yarn was really soft, and it was my favorite color. I could tell he had taken his time because of the consistency of all the loops. Even unfinished, it was already perfect. He told me that he kept moving it around to different hiding spots, but since our house is very small, it was only a matter of time before I accidentally found it. He said he had run out of yarn, and he asked if I wanted to pick out another color to add to it. I said yes, and we made a little date out of it. We grabbed lunch, and then walked around the craft store before I picked out a complementary color to the one he chose. He hasn't had much time to work on it the last few days, but he assured me it will be finished by my birthday. I am wildly impressed with how long he kept it a secret, and I'm so excited to have my first ever handmade blanket.